Hello and welcome. So today we're gonna do DPS comparison because I've been talking to a lot of players in the PTU because the PU is currently broken, but I saw that like a bunch of people still don't understand how big the changes to the weapons are and to the shields, of course. But let's take a deep dive and see how drastic the changes are. My name is Grumpy Eye, and let's cut straight to the chase.
Hello, my name is Grumpy Eye.
Alright, so we're gonna be spending most of the video on this screen. If you do not know this site, it's Referral.games. I'm gonna post it in the info section below because it's pretty much the best place to go if you're buying shit and if you wanna get your ship equipped. So I have loaded up all of the ships with the laser repeaters. Currently, it doesn't really matter which ones you use because they have the same DPS. And as you can see, the Gladius has 1500 DPS. If we switch to the Arrow, it has 1672 DPS, which is more than the Gladius. Now you should bear in mind that the Gladius has 3 size trees, while the Arrow has 2 size trees and a fixed turret that you can't change anymore, which actually carries 2 size 1s, which are actually better than a single size tree. So the Arrow beats the Gladius in the DPS race, and it's also smaller, but it has like 1 less shield. But yeah, skipping forward to the Talon. Talon has 2 size 4s, which were really good in the previous patch, but right now it has less DPS than the Arrow and the Gladius, which is, it's weird, but I guess it's okay. So skipping to the Merlin, my actual favorite fucking fighter in the game right now. It has 2 size 1s and a fixed Tiger Strike Gatling gun, which you can't really change out, but it deals more damage than the Talon. I was using it with a friend. He was in the Connie in my Andromeda, and I was in the Merlin, and we were just destroying everything. Of course, after a while, we couldn't claim the ship, so we just fucking gave up. But I think that's gonna be fixed in the next patch, because the PTU actually seems... It looks promising, guys, but I mean, the previous PTU just looked promising and we got this, but yeah, whatever. Moving on to the medium fighters. So, as the first medium fighter, we have the Saber, and it deals 2000 damage, which is, it's alright, it's better than the light fighters, but it's less maneuverable and it's a bigger target, so if you're PvPing, you're gonna get wrecked. By the way, just so you can see, all the laser repeaters have the same stats. It goes on to the cannons, all the cannons have the same stats, and so on. Moving on to the Buccaneer. The Buccaneer actually has more, or deals more damage per second than the Saber, because instead of having 4 size 3s, it has like 2 size 1s, 2 size 3s, and a big ass size 4 on top. But you can actually switch out the size 4 to 2 size 2s and get even more firepower from the Buccaneer. It's just like 200 more, but I'll take it. Why not? Moving on to the Hornet. The Hornet has 3 size 3s and 1 size 4 on top. You can actually switch the top gun to 2 size 2s, but it's still gonna deal less damage than the Buccaneer. Now let's move on to the Hawk. The Hawk has a shitload of guns. It has 4 size 2s and 2 size 1s, and it deals more damage than the Hornet with a size 4 on top. Now the Hawk actually has a special item, and it's the EMP, of course, and the EMP deals 1350 damage, so that could come in handy. And with the EMP, like with 2 strikes, you can turn off the enemy enemy ship if it doesn't have his shields up, but with one strike, if his shields are up, you can lower the shields to like half capacity, which is awesome because it could actually really help you during a PvP fight. And if you play your cards right, you can actually kill or disable the enemy in under 30 seconds, of course if the enemy is in a fighter. Now moving on to the last medium fighter, it's gonna be the Avenger Warlock, one of my favorites. It has like 1600 DPS, which is not that good, but what it does have is a big ass size 4 EMP, which deals like twice the damage than the Hawk. It's 2700 damage, so with one EMP strike you can actually destroy these shields, like both of the shields of the enemy's fighter. And of course, once the shields are down, the second EMP strike should of course disable the enemy ship. But bear in mind that the larger ships can withstand more EMP strikes than the smaller ships, so if you're fighting a single-seated fighter, you should be able to turn his ship off with a single EMP strike. Now, one last ship that I want to mention in this category is, of course, the Reliance Tana. It's obviously my favorite fucking ship. It looks great, and everything is about looks, right? But it can actually have 6 size 2 weapons on it that can deal 2400 damage, which is more than the Warlock, more than the Hornet. It's pretty much the same as the Buccaneer and more than the Hawk. So, way to go, Tana. You're fucking awesome now, and yeah, guys, you should actually buy this ship because it's good. But you should bear in mind that the DPS is not the only thing you should care about, because like smaller fighters can turn better, so you can actually spend more time on the target. And of course, they're smaller, so they're harder to hit, and you can stay behind the enemy while he tries to turn into you to shoot you. You can just shoot him in the ass. That brings us to the heavy fighters, where the things get a bit, let's say, complicated, because if you go with like all laser repeaters, you're gonna deal slightly more damage than the Buccaneer and the Tana and like the rest of the medium fighters. Of course, yeah, you have the EMP, but if you switch the repeaters to the cannons, so size 5 cannons and size 2 cannons, you're actually gonna deal shitloads of damage. But of course, the cannons have a slower fire rate, they have less ammo, and the projectile speed is trash, so it's not really good against the fighters. You should only use the heavy fighters with the cannons against bigger ships, so sub-capital ships like the Hammerhead, the Carrock, whatever, like Andromedas and stuff like that. Of course, you do have the turret on top, which can give you a slight boost if you have a gunner for it. But on the Sentinel, it only deals like 800 DPS, so it's okay. It's not that bad, it's not that good neither. But that brings us to the Hurricane, which has like 2000 DPS because it's pretty much a Saber on top of a Talon. It has 2 size 4s for the pilot and 4 size 3s for the turret gunner. And like, you have unlimited fucking amount of ammo. You have like 250 rounds per gun, which is like 1000 rounds total as the turret gunner. And once you're out of ammo, you can just reload it in like under 5 seconds. So it's OP, and I hope that CIG is gonna nerf it, but yeah. Moving on to the bigger ships. We're gonna start out with a Prowler because it's the only ship that like the pilot can actually use all the weapons on. If you go with the attritions or any kind of laser repeaters, you're gonna get like 3000 DPS. If you go with the cannons, so you can kill the sub-capital ships, you can get 4500 DPS. But this is where the things get interesting, because the Andromeda is actually awesome now because it has a size 3 shield generator, and it can deal, if you go with the size 4s, it can deal like 2500 DPS, which is not that good. It's pretty much like a Tana, but if you can multi-crew it, you can get 1600 DPS more, and you can get the Merlin which gives you like 1300 DPS, which is actually going to be another target for the NPC or the player that he needs to focus on. So if he focuses on the Andromeda, the snub fighter is gonna bring his shields down really quick. I tried it and it's really good. So it's safe to say that the Connie is my favorite multi-crew ship. And of course, if you use the cannons instead of repeaters, you're gonna get a hell of a lot of damage and you're gonna bring down sub-capital ships in no time. Moving on to the sub-capital ships. The first one is gonna be the Corvette, or of course, the Hammerhead, which deals 15,000 fucking damage. But of course you need 6 gunners for that, because the pilot can only fire missiles. So good luck if you don't have any friends. If you want some friends, you can join our Discord and our org. The link is gonna be posted down below in the info section. The last sub-capital ship on the list is gonna be, of course, the Carrock, and it's a favorite of a lot of people, but it only deals like 5,000 damage per second with the turret gunners, and it doesn't have a pilot weapon, so yeah, it can only defend itself if it gets attacked. But the honorable mention here is going to be, of course, the Valkyrie. You can see it on the screen. It can deal actually like 5,000 damage if you have enough people to crew it. It only has 2 size 2 shields, so it's not as good as the Carrock with 2 size 3 shields, because size 2 shields have 7,500 HP, while the size 3 shields have like 100,000 HP, so there's a slight difference there. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. My name is Grumpy Eye, and don't forget to bring a towel when you're traveling through space. And subscribe.